You can tell it's a good guess by how loud the crowd is. This is the Build Series. I'm Kevin Kenny. We are live on the corner of 4th and Broadway here in New York City. And the man to my side, who you can't see, but he's right here, is a singer, songwriter, TV personality, entrepreneur. The list goes on and on. Give it up for Eric Nam right there.
Hello.
There we go. Get a shot of that. Get a close-up on the one. There we go.
There you go.
All right, or don't. Whatever. Here, I got to give this back to my friend. There you go. What is that?
I still can't believe she has that.
Why, is that rare? Is that like hard to get?
That I think we only sold it in Korea, so that means she was in Korea, and then she brought it here.
Is that true? Wow.
Man,
amazing.
thank you.
Wow.
Appreciate it.
Good memory, Eric. I had so much anxiety introducing you just there.
Why?
Because I was like, what do I start with? What do I talk about? You just do so much, man. Is there something you do, though, out of everything that sort of, if you had to say, anchors your identity, where you point to that, you're like, I mean, all this stuff is nice, but this is really like what I am at my core?
I think the easiest way would be to say a creator
Okay.
of just like different things constantly, and I think, you know, what I love to create the most is music. So musician, singer, songwriter is probably where I feel, I don't want to say most comfortable, but it's what I love doing the most.
Why don't you want to say most comfortable?
Because I think music should always really challenge and push the envelope in terms of being creative and like trying new sounds and stories and all that kind of stuff. So anytime I walk into a session or a songwriting thing, I'm always like on edge and I always feel very nervous. So it's like the first day of school. No matter who I'm writing with or where I am, I'm always kind of nervous about it. But I think that energy really allows me to elevate my writing and the product that comes out at the end.
Are there any, just typical life situations that you don't feel nervous in, that we would find ironic?
That I don't feel nervous in?
Yeah.
Like
are
here,
you a nervous person?
I'm like fine. No, I'm
Okay.
not. Like I'm here fine. Like I've, outside of doing music, I do a lot of hosting and interviewing. So like a few weeks ago was with Will Smith, and like I feel like a lot of people were like, "You met Will Smith?" And yes, I met Will Smith. It was a really big deal. He's awesome. But I really I wasn't nervous at all. It was just really cool.
You get more nervous before a performance or an interview?
I'd say
When you're doing
there's
an interview.
adrenaline going into a performance. So there's like a 10-second period where I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna mess this up so bad." And once I'm on stage, we're good.
Right on.
Yeah.
And you're just like cool as a cucumber when you're interviewing.
I try to be.
Yeah.
I like to, I think everything's you kind of fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And hopefully people can't tell.
Yeah.
Sometimes I am freaking out inside, but usually I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
By the end of this, I might learn a thing or two. Do you ever find that the doing so many different things informs the other endeavors of yours? Like, do you find like maybe interviewing makes you a better songwriter, just from like, you have to consider empathy and people's point of view?
Yeah, no, I definitely think, I think we're at a point where everything just kind of blends together. Nobody's just a singer-songwriter. They're doing everything else at the same time. And so whatever you choose to do outside of music, that definitely does inform the stories that you try to tell and the ways that you connect and relate to people. And I think, with interviewing, the most important thing is just being able to listen and hear someone's story out. And then once you're able to kind of take those stories in, it's like, how do I take these stories and these forms of expression and make them into something that has to do with music? And I
Right.
definitely think it.
Have you ever
together.
tangibly found yourself incorporating something from an interview you did as a TV personality, as a host, into a song? And maybe the song didn't even make it out, but do you ever find yourself doing that?
I don't know from like a particular interview, but definitely like when I'm doing variety shows and reality shows, you meet so many different people and you hear their stories. And one of them that comes to mind is just somebody was saying like, I hate being in the city. I don't like being around people. I would love to just live on an island and build a treehouse.
This is you saying this or somebody?
No, somebody else.
Okay.
I'm cool living like with people and like
a bold statement in Manhattan.
I'm down with it, but like that got me to think a lot about like just existence and like what makes us feel comfortable and like what makes us feel at home and what is the definition of that. Right. So there were definitely songs and moments where I did think about that, and I think there are probably moments and glimpses of it in this upcoming album.
Well, where do you feel at home? Because you're somebody that, your career has bounced around. Right now, your residence bounces around quite a bit. What is home to you?
Good question. We're getting really deep for 10 a.m. I think home is less of a physical place. It's more of like an emotional and I guess, a relative kind of thing. For me, I'm lucky enough to be able to work with my brothers, Eddie and Brian, and we actually tend to travel a lot together. So I never feel not at home somewhere. Wherever we are, we just kind of, you know, I'm with my family and we're working on cool projects. Physically, it's, you know, between Seoul, LA, Atlanta, and sometimes New York, and it's a lot
of homes.
So probably airplanes are probably what's most home to me. Shout out to Delta, what's up? Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's all kind of relative, and I'm really lucky that I have like a great community around me. So.
Was keeping your brothers close, business-wise and career-wise, was that always the plan? Because I think of like some of the most successful artists. Take a Drake, for example. Like his team is really his childhood friends, the closest thing to a family that he probably has, right? How much does that help you just navigate this crazy industry?
I mean, it's definitely. I don't know if like from the beginning it was a very cognizant, intentional choice. What did happen is, you know, I saw opportunity internationally outside of Korea, and in order to pursue those, I asked my brother for help, Eddie. And so we really started building things in a we really kind of made things up and like I remember we would write emails to people pretending I was not me, but it was definitely me. And that kind of stuff. It was just hustling. And so, but, you know, we got lucky. Things kind of worked out. And once they did, you know, Eddie set up his own management team. Brian set up his own kind of other stuff that we're all working on. And so, it's been really cool in that sense, and it's, you know, there's nobody you can trust more than family.
Of course.
Yeah.
You mentioned Atlanta. If you're watching right now, you're new to Eric. You were born and raised in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You went to high school in Atlanta, which is very interesting, but I want to ask you about how the hell you met Ciara when you were in high school.
All right. So this was a big deal for me. I played soccer in high school, and after soccer practice, there's like a taco burrito joint maybe like 5 minutes away from school. So I go in to order like a burrito, and this beautiful lady walks in, and she like pulls up in like a white Range Rover, and I was like, oh, cool. I walk out, and then I was like, I swear to God, I've seen her somewhere. And I walk back in, and all the employees are like, oh my God, it's Ciara. Like, give her more beans, give her more meat, give her more chips. And I was like, it is Ciara. And so I like asked her, I walked outside and asked her for a photo, and I'm like cheesing. I'm like, yeah. So I look at that photo once in a while, and it gets really embarrassing, but
You posted it like as like a TBT kind of thing?
It was, no, I haven't. I don't want to, you don't want to see me in high school, bro.
Oh, yeah? This is like peak Ciara, though, if I'm doing the math, right? This is like 1-2 step. This is like goodies.
Yeah, it was peak Ciara, and she was getting a burrito just like everybody else.
Wow. Keeping it regular.
One of the people.
Yeah. I also got a kick out of the first performance that you ever did in front of people. You guys probably all know this. I'm looking at you guys like you don't know everything about Eric, but was a medley of like BSB and NSYNC.
Wait, how do you know all this? Where did you get your details?
They all told me.
This is really embarrassing stuff. Yeah, in high school, like I didn't really sing, but it was like a senior talent show, and I was like, you know what, senior year, we're gonna go out with a bang. And so it was me and like 4 friends. We put together a medley of like LFO and NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, and it had the entire school on their feet singing along and jamming.
Do you remember the actual medley? Because this sounds like quite the playlist.
I think it was like NSYNC Bye Bye Bye,
Okay.
Backstreet Boys I Want It That Way, and like LFO Summer Girls or something.
Wow.
Pretty solid.
How was the dancing? Did you practice? Did you have choreography?
It was really bad, but really bad choreography. I don't remember anything. I just remember it being very, very white. But it was good. It was a good time.
At least you got the bye though, right?
We got this.
Yeah. Right.
You know, we had a little bit of everything.
Yeah. LFO, you just have to kind of like
you just kind of smize and just kill the camera with your eyes. Yeah.
The camera that wasn't there.
That wasn't there, but we had to imagine that was there. So it was more like the principal in the back being like, do not body roll that hard. What's going on? So.
I mean, your story is well documented, but just to bring you up to speed at home, you know, you grow up in Atlanta, you go to school, you get this job, you get a job offer, I guess, from Deloitte. Yep. That could have been a path for you. You go to India for a school program, and then eventually you wind up on a singing competition show in Korea. You've had quite the journey, Eric.
Yeah.
You strike me as a guy that's had a career that he didn't expect to have, but one you must be just so grateful for?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, being a singer-songwriter, I think, is amazing. It's one of those things when you're a kid, you're like, what do you want to be? It's like, I want to be an astronaut. And it's just like one of those you just throw out there.
Right.
Never expecting to actually happen. And I never grew up in a household where it was like encouraged at all. My mom, even when I was on the singing competition and even well into my career, she was like, get a real job. Like, what are you doing? And so it's kind of surreal that I'm here talking to you in front of, you know, some of my fans and talking about this album. So it's, you know, every day it's like I wake up, I'm like, I'm so blessed and thankful to be able to do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about something, and it ties into the record, is why I'm bringing this up, is we were talking about BSB, we were talking about LFO, we were talking about NSYNC, and then you had a really unique perspective on the rise of BTS, because you're around those guys at a really early point in their career, but as an MC, as a TV host, right? So what was this capacity that you saw them?
So, you know, I hosted a TV show in Korea. It was all in English. It was just connecting K-pop people to their fans internationally. So we would do like video chats and live tweets and all these kind of interactive forms.
What was it called?
After School Club. Yeah.
A little on the nose.
I love that show, guys. Shout out. So yeah, we would have people, rookies to very, you know, veterans, and when BTS came on, they had maybe a few albums out, and they hadn't really made it in Korea yet or anywhere. And they were really starting to, I remember they were like saying like, oh man, this is really hard. Like everybody in Korea, there's so much competition. To be able to survive and like stay around as a group is really, really difficult. And so for them, they would be like, some of this stuff is really hard. We're exhausted. And they really went about it the right way of going internationally, coming to the States, putting time in, working with really interesting people, and approaching things from a very non-K-pop business or perspective. And I think that's what really allowed people internationally to see, you know, how talented they were, the music that they do, the stories that they tell, and really had people latch on. And once that started to rise internationally, I think in Korea, they're like, oh, well, who are these guys? Let's pay attention and like kind of figure it out. And then they started taking over the world, and they're massive, as you all know. So, but it's been really cool to see them, you know, develop as a team and take over the world. And what's great is whenever I do see them, whenever we hang out, they're just still so humble and hardworking and encouraging. I think we're very encouraging to each other about our music, and I tend to hear a lot of their stuff before it comes out. I play a lot of my stuff for them, and like we have feedback that goes back and forth. So it's like it's a cool thing to be able to cheer them on.
I bring them up because of course they're an incredible group, but also I got to know them pretty well when I was at Billboard, and when their whole rise, we were, you know, and especially the Army, and something that always that I felt was unfair, and there's so many challenges that world artists face when they're trying to, you know, make it domestically here stateside, is sort of the unbalanced focus on the fandom as opposed to the music, you know, and you wouldn't see that necessarily with One Direction. You wouldn't be like, wow, look at how crazy the Directioners are. You'd say, wow, they make great music. Right. And I feel like BTS probably got the short end of the stick there in terms of like, wow, look at how crazy these fans are. But there's a reason why these fans are like that. And I know you are someone that probably can relate to that to a certain extent, where you are, you know, you were born in Atlanta, you had to go all the way to Korea to then have a career here in America. I mean, how has that just journey been for you?
It's, you know, it's true. Like when I first started, I don't think there ever was like an Asian or Asian American figure in music that I was like, oh, I want to be like that person. Like still to this day, like I don't really know like if there's that mentor role model for me right now as an Asian American in the States. So, you know, we had to go to Korea to kind of try to reverse engineer this thing. But I'm, you know, very thankful that was the process, because I think what training and working in Korea does, it really sharpens your knife and gets you ready for a global stage. To have to learn to choreograph, to do music, write your own stuff, be a part of the production process from A to Z is a very complicated, complex project. And I think for the first few years of my career, I've really learned how to do that. And now that allows me to really try to put out a really well-produced, thoughtful album, such as Before We Begin.
Do you have any thoughts on just the pressures of being a pop star and a K-pop star. I think about the recent loss, of course, Sully, and just you know, some of the issues that surround that story and just the pressures. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think there is a lot of pressure, obviously. There's a lot of internet stuff that goes on, a lot of comments. But for me personally, I think it's always taking it like one step at a time. Like I think I've heard this a lot of times where it's like you need to be more of a star and like be more arrogant and like just do whatever you want. But that's just not me. That's not my personality. I think if anything, what a lot of my fans particularly know is like I'm very just normal and I'm very down to earth and I'm very relatable in many ways. And I don't think like putting on like a front of like, yo, like don't talk to me and that kind of thing really helps. But I think doing that adds to the pressure psychologically. Yeah. And I think for a lot of celebrities, we have to quote unquote portray that to be seen as cool. And so for me, when I level with myself, I'm like, let's just be normal. Let's just be as normal and reachable and average as possible. It really takes a lot of that pressure off. And I think that allows me to be very honest in how I portray myself, honest in my songwriting, honest in how I go about building my career. And so for me personally, I think there are things like the only pressure that I get is from me wanting to achieve certain milestones and like wanting to do certain stuff. I don't feel a lot of like the societal pressure or like that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, that's good. Let's get into some of these tracks before we hand it over to the fans because there are a ton of questions we have to get to. But track number 3, congratulations, has Marky Basie on it. And it's really funny because we had Lost Kings, a DJ duo, on the show last week. And they're such a huge fan of Mark. And they were saying how Mark is so unique because his singing voice almost sounds like his regular talking voice, and just how distinct it is, you know, and how it really cuts through. What attracted you to Mark and wanting to work with him?
So I've been a fan of Marky Basie for a few years. There's a song called Plot Twist that I absolutely love, and is probably one of the most streamed songs on my Spotify thing last year. And we actually got to meet up in Korea. He was doing a show, and as a fan, I just went to go watch, and afterwards we grabbed some drinks and may have had a few drinks too many. And after that, we kind of, you know, we would just hit each other up on Instagram every once in a while. And when we had the song Congratulations, it's such a great song, very special song, but we wanted to add like an X factor to it. And so my brother Eddie, who manages me outside of Korea, he reached out to that team. And as soon as Mark heard it, he was like, I'm in. Like, I love it. And so he wrote his verse. We even like extended part of it so he could have a little more part in it. But yeah, he sounds great on it. Like his voice is so special, and the way he writes and kind of portrays things is really interesting. And so we shot a music video in LA a few weeks ago. It looks really cool, really cool concept, and I can't wait for everybody to hear it.
Yeah. I'm very excited. And then the final track is Runaway, right?
The final track is Runaway.
But this is interesting because you had to, like, I want to talk really quickly about it's more than translating, because that was originally a song made in Korean, because sometimes direct translation, it changes the definition of a song. So it's really a reinterpretation. Can you explain that process?
Yeah, so I write all my stuff in English typically, and then we have to go back and translate it into Korean. Sometimes the translation, like, generally works. Like, we have a general vibe of where we want to go. But, for example, there's a song, Miss You in Korean, and then in English is I Don't Miss You. And it's just complete opposite kind of things. And so it's really about what story makes sense and what sonically, when you pronounce it in Korean, is okay for people to listen to. In the case of Runaway, I actually received the song in English, and it was written by Lauv and Lute and Michael Pollack. And we took it to Korea, where we had to rewrite it because I'd done so many breakup songs that I was like, I don't want to do another breakup song. And Runaway in English, the original one, is kind of like, if you run away, don't ever come back. And so in Korean, we made it like, let's run away together to somewhere that only we know kind of thing. And so this version, it's the English version, and we have Steve James, who's a great friend, collaborator of mine. He remixed it to make it like this EDM jam. So it'll be in English with a lot of cool vibes, I guess, yeah.
And then just the title is very important to talk about before we begin. Can you explain why you named it that?
Yeah, I was trying to think about like what makes sense for this album. And, you know, in many ways, this project is an experiment. It's like a stepping stone to where I hope to be in the next year or two. And I say that because, I want to really be able to do stuff here as just an American pop artist, not a K-pop artist, not a K-pop soloist. I just want to be known as an American pop singer-songwriter. But I think that is something that hasn't really been done yet. People are trying. There are other artists who are, and, hopefully we all kind of make it. But to just be very honest, it's like we don't know how it's going to go. And this is just like the first step into figuring out the sound and the look and what people in the States beyond my current fans, like just the average person in Iowa or whatever, can just be like, oh, that's a great song. Who is it? And so, in terms of the title, we wanted to just kind of set the mood. It's like before we begin and really dive into it, here's a selection of songs that we really like. It's very varied, it's very diverse, and hopefully you guys love it. Yeah,
That's awesome. I love that. Build is huge in Iowa, by the way.
Iowa, what's up?
All right, we have to get to some fan questions right now. Let's kick it to Twitter right now, at NamiGirl68. Hi, Eric. If you were able to get your start in the U.S. instead of Korea, would you have still gotten into K-pop?
Probably. I think so. I think as a Korean American, K-pop really informed a lot of, what I grew up on musically. There were just a few pockets of time in my childhood and youth where I really looked at it, because it was the only place where I looked like the people on TV. And so I think even if I started in the States, probably I would have done some collabs and try to put out a Korean album with very poorly pronounced Korean.
Yeah.
And it would have gone great, I'm sure.
I like the alternative universe where you get signed to So So Def and you and Bow Wow just become a duo in the 2000s.
Yo, I have a story about Bow Wow, actually. So I actually went up. I've never met him, but I went up to be cast for CSI. It was 4 years ago.
Okay.
And they were like, you're in the final round. You're in the top 2. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I might be on CSI, as a season regular. And then they're like, you didn't get it. So I was like, who got it? It's like, Bow Wow. I was like, Bow Wow! Bow Wow! Stealing my job, Bow Wow!
Battle of Atlanta, right?
I know, but it was all good,
We played a hilarious game with him when he was on this show. We were watching his old videos, and I guess he wasn't the most creative music video director, or whoever was directing his videos, because every video had a girl with a phone. So we played this game where he had to identify the song based off the girl with the phone, and you can see the phone's getting more technologically advanced throughout his career.
The Nokia, the little bar with that little brick.
One girl was playing Snake, and then eventually
Snake was great.
Yeah. The kids will never know. Let's get, fan questions. Where's the first one going to come from? What's your name?
Tori.
What's up, Tori?
Hi. Okay, so my question is, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions Westerns have about Korean music and just music in general?
Oh, good question. I think one of them is, that it's overly produced and it's incredibly commercial. I mean, but it is anywhere. Music anywhere is produced and commercial. But I think they have this conception that it's a factory of people just pumping stuff out. And I'd say for some people maybe that's true, but that definitely doesn't represent everybody. It doesn't represent me, doesn't represent people that I work with. So that's definitely a big misconception. And then I think the other thing is definitely what Kevin was saying, just about fans and fandom. It's you guys only have it because your fans are rabid and they're crazy. But I'm well, there's probably a reason that people latch onto the stories and the imagery and the production. And I think in some ways it really undercuts the value of the high quality production that people have made, which I find to be unfortunate. So definitely those are probably the misconceptions.
Sorry. I was going to go off, but I'm going to...
Go off. Go off,
because it's
bro.
just it's just so irresponsible of that. We'll talk after, but just just wow, look at how crazy these people are going. It's they're not whatever. All right, again after, but let's get to another fan question. It'll come from right here. What's your name?
Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi. I don't know if this will spoil too much, but if you could have one song from your upcoming album be in a movie, which one would you pick, and what do you imagine happening in that scene?
Oh my God.
That's a really cool question.
Thanks.
I thought she was gonna give away the whole tour list or something.
This is your set list.
Yeah. Right.
It is? All right.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, but
Is this the choreo?
Right. Well, I think what I've seen online, Love Die Young itself is such a sad sad song, but people were like, this would be great in a movie, like an original soundtrack. And I'm down for it. So all you movie people, hit me up. The other one, obviously, congratulations. The song itself it's about a breakup, and it's about saying, congratulations, you're finally leaving, so let's throw a party. And I kept, everybody's like, what?
That's cheery.
You're crazy. But that's the song. But I think there's so much you can do with it creatively. Like even in terms of the music video, we got really creative with like how to do it. But I think if there was a crazy party scene, it would be a great fit. Congratulations. Yeah.
What about a song of Eric's that you would put in a movie?
Oh, well, you know, whenever there's like a rainy day, like 2 days ago, I kind of just walk around and I listen to I Don't Miss You.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm like, wow, I'm like, this is so depressing. All right. It's raining, it's sad boy hours, gotta turn on the lyric now.
There you go. There you go.
But at least you realize that you're making us all so sad.
We're gonna be happy soon, I think.
All right,
We'll get to a happy place.
Fingers crossed. All right, thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Next question, right here.
Hi, Eric.
Hi.
My name is May, and
Hey,
the
May.
question I have for you is, if you could be a type of fruit, what would you be and why?
A type of fruit?
Yeah.
I thought she was gonna ask like the deepest question,
I know,
dude.
I was like-
the way she set that up. I'm gonna take a sip of
I have
water.
a very serious question for you. What fruit are you? I would go with, I'm gonna say blackberry.
Blackberry.
Nobody saw that coming. I'd say blackberry because you never know if it's gonna be really sweet or if it's gonna be so sour. And it's not to say that I'm like both sweet and sour is really good though, guys. If you think about it. But like when it's sweet, it's so good, and when it's sour, you're still like, oh, it's cool, but like it makes you feel something really like unexpected. And so, yeah, that made maybe a little sense, but really didn't know where to go with that one. Thank you.
Cool. All right, let's get to another fan question. It'll come from over here. Oh, this is your fan from Korea.
Yeah.
Can you make it glow? Because we didn't get a shot of that before.
Yeah, it's
That's really
glowing.
cool.
Happy almost birthday. I just
Thank
wanted to
you,
do that
thank
first
you.
From all of us.
Thank you.
When's your birthday?
It's the 17th.
Oh, so is that Scorpio or Sagittarius?
Scorpio.
Nice,
Scorpio.
dude. Fellow Scorpio.
Oh, yes. What's
Yeah.
your birthday, dude?
October 28th.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Eddie's birthday is today.
Yeah.
Oh,
Happy
dude.
birthday.
Can we wish
That's my brother.
Can we wish him a happy birthday? Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, bro.
That's all you get. A bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
One line. No more.
Oh my gosh. So my question is, you've filmed in the most amazing locations for your music videos in the past. So do you have any like dream location for maybe one of the songs on this album or future?
Yes. I really wanted to shoot in Istanbul, and I think Turkey is, I've never been. Like, I've been to the airport. It's a great airport. But I feel like it's such a great mix of like East and West, and has so much culture and history. And I'd love to be able to try to put that on film and onto camera. And so if I could do anywhere, probably right now, somewhere in Turkey. Yeah.
That's so cool. I hope you get to go there.
Thank you very much. Hopefully not just sit in the airport. I've done that way too many times.
You know what I spent a lot of time thinking about more than I should?
What?
Is how weird it is that Backstreet Boys shot the I Want It That Way video in an airport. Like, why are they in an airport? Like, it just
Right.
like, we just gloss, because the song's so good,
Right.
it's this classic.
It's such a good
but it's
song.
Like, they're literally doing choreography in like baggage claim at one
And,
point.
yeah.
Why
They're
are
like
they at an
packing your
airport?
bags, like doing your like bellboy stuff. and,
Yeah.
like I want it that way. Like it's
Exactly.
it's like very confusing. Now that you mention it,
It's really
What?
weird.
What
Like,
was
it's-
going on?
Yeah.
I'm like starting to. I don't want to say I lost respect, but what's going on? Like,
We have questions. All right. Do we have time for one more, or is that it? That's it. All right, that's the show, everybody.
what? That's it?
The well-informed host that I am. All right, guys. November 14th is the date, of course, to
Yeah.
circle on your calendar or your calendar app. Before we begin is the record, and then tour's coming up, and I guess we can just tease that at this point. We can't say anything,
Yeah,
right?
we have a tour coming up, North America, Southeast
We say
Asia.
how many
everywhere.
dates?
We're doing about 40 cities.
That's crazy.
So like
Last year was what, 15?
last year was 15
All right.
North America. The next
Aggressive,
2020
Eric.
2020 will be about 40 cities, if not more. So I'll be somewhere near all of you.
That's awesome. And you'll all get tickets, right?
Thank you.
All right. Eric Nam, everybody.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for
Have a
watching.
great week.